So today we are going to study the lesson Discovering Tut, the saga continues. Now, what is the meaning of the title Discovering Tut? Discovering means finding out, and Tut is the name of the Egyptian king who was a pharaoh and the youngest pharaoh and the last pharaoh of Egypt, and his full name was Tutankhaten. The saga continues. The word saga means the story and continues is in continuation. So his story continued even after his death because of several mysteries associated with his death. He was very young when he died. The writer of this lesson is A.R. Williams. We move on to the text. He was just a teenager when he died, the last heir of a powerful family that had ruled Egypt and its empire for centuries. He was laid to rest, laden with gold and eventually forgotten. So, who is he here? He refers to King Tut, and he was just a teenager. Teenager is the age between 13 years to 19 years when he died. He was the last heir. What's the meaning of heir? Heir is a person who has the legal right to a fortune or title after the death of the parents. So he was the last king of his dynasty. And what sort of family he belonged to? It was a very powerful family, very powerful dynasty that had ruled Egypt and its empire for centuries. For hundreds and hundreds of years, his ancestors had ruled over Egypt. He was laid to rest, laden with gold and eventually forgotten. So, when his dead body was buried in his tomb, he was loaded with lots of jewelry and lots of gold and eventually forgotten. So, after he was buried, he was put to rest in his tomb. Then people stopped talking about him for certain time. Since the discovery of his tomb in 1922, the modern world has speculated about what happened to him, with murder being the most extreme possibility. So, when was his tomb discovered? What is tomb? Tomb is a burial place. Like in India, we have Taj Mahal, which is again a tomb. It was discovered in 1922. And after the discovery, the modern word is the present day word, started speculating. What is the meaning of speculating? To form opinions without any scientific evidence. So everybody started forming opinion about his death, that what happened, why did he die so young, and what were the reasons of King Tut's death, and what is the most likely possibility that the word thought was the cause of his death. That was the murder. They all thought that the most possible cause of King Tut's death was murder. Now leaving his tomb for the first time in almost 80 years, Tut has undergone a CT scan that offers new clues about his life and death. So after 80 years of the discovery of his tomb, so after 80 years, his body was taken out from the tomb and it had undergone a CT scan. CT scan is a procedure where the entire body is put in a machine and lot of x-rays from different directions are put on the body, and this gives us the entire about idea about the inside of the body. So after undergoing the CT scan, the results and the reports would give us more clues. Clues is hints and ideas about his life and what happened, that how did he die so young, and provides precise data for an accurate forensic reconstruction of the boyish pharaoh. And also the reports of the CT scan would also provide precise, means very clear and very accurate data and statistics for an accurate forensic reconstruction. What is forensic? So whenever any crime takes place, people from forensic department come and they try to find out through various scientific tests the reasons for that crime, and they try to recreate the whole scene. So here also the CT scan reports would provide the modern word very precise data about the cause of his death, and also the reconstruction of boyish pharaoh. Reconstruction of what? Reconstruction of his body, reconstruction of his face. And why is he called a boyish pharaoh? He's called a boyish pharaoh because he was a boy, he was a teenager when he died. An angry wind stirred up ghostly dust devils as King Tut was taken from his resting place in the ancient Egyptian cemetery known as the Valley of Kings. So, what sort of weather was there when his body was taken out from the tomb? Angry wind stirred up. The wind started blowing, and it appeared as though the weather was angry, as though it was not very happy with the idea of taking King Tut's body out of his resting place, that is his tomb. So the dust started blowing and the dust storm started rising up in the air. It appeared as though the dust devils are rising in the air as King Tut was taken out from his resting place. Resting place is his tomb in the ancient Egyptian cemetery. What is cemetery? Cemetery is a place where after death the bodies are buried. And what is that Egyptian cemetery called? It is called the Valley of Kings. So this is the place where when the Egyptian pharaohs used to die, their body used to be preserved in the form of a mummy, and then they used to be buried in the tombs, and over the tomb they used to build the pyramids. Dark bellied clouds had scudded across the desert sky all day and now were veiling the stars in casket grey. Dark bellied cloud means dark colored clouds were in the sky. The sky was overcast, and these clouds were moving across the sky, across the desert sky. So, Egypt is all desert. That is why the sky is called the desert sky all day, and now were veiling the stars in casket gray. So, veiling means covering, and casket is a small box. So, these dark clouds were covering the stars, and it appeared as though the clouds were like a basket, and all the stars have been put in the gray color basket. And these clouds were covering the stars. All the stars were not clearly seen in the sky. It was 6 p.m. on 5th January 2005. The world's most famous mummy glided headfirst into a CT scanner, brought here to probe the lingering medical mysteries of this little understood young ruler who died more than 3,300 years ago. So, what time was it when the mummy of King Tut was taken out from his tomb? It was 6 p.m. in the evening, and the date was 5th January, and the year was 2005. The world's most famous mummy glided headfirst into CT scanner. It is the world's most famous mummy because it has a lot of mysteries associated with it. First of all, it is the mummy of the youngest pharaoh of Egypt. Then it is the mummy of the last pharaoh of the powerful dynasty of Egypt, which ruled for hundred of years. So when the body was put, his mummy was put into the CT scanner, it went head first. Head went into the machine, CT scanner machine first, and then the rest of the body brought here to probe. And why was the body brought to the CT scanner? To find out, to examine the lingering medical mysteries. There are lots of secrets which are associated with King Tut's mummy. And you know what are these secrets? These secrets are about the secret of his death, that how did such young king die? Of this little understood young ruler who died more than 3,300 years ago. So King Tut died long, long ago, that is 3,300 years ago. All afternoon, the usual line of tourists from around the world had descended into the cramped rock cut tomb some 26 feet underground to pay their respects. So, in the afternoon, what happened? The usual line of tourists. A lot of tourists keep visiting these mummies and these tombs and these pyramids. So, there were lots of tourists in the tomb, and they had come from all parts of the world, had descended, means they had arrived into the crammed rock cut tomb. How was the tomb? Tomb was cut out of a huge rock, and it was cramped. It was not very big. It did not have a lot of space to house so many tourists. Some 26 feet underground to pay their respect. And the mummy, the tomb was underground. It was 26 feet under the ground. And what was the purpose of these tourists? Why were they there? They were there to pay their respect to the last pharaoh. They gazed at the murals on the walls of the burial chamber and peered at Tut's gilded face, the most striking feature of his mummy shaped outer coffin lid. Now, who is they here? They refers to all the tourists. They gazed at the murals. Murals are the paintings. So inside the tomb, the walls were not bare. There were lots of paintings and beautiful artwork on the walls of the tomb. So all the tourists were looking and gazing at the paintings on the walls of the chamber, the room in which the dead body was kept, and peered is very closely and carefully looking at something, and looked closely at Tut's gilded face. Gilded means covered with thin layer of gold. So this gilded face, where was this gilded face? Was it the actual face of King Tut? No. So gilded face means the face of King Tut was made on the outer covering of the coffin lid, and it was the most striking, the most beautiful feature of the coffin lid. Now you can see the picture of the gilded face. The lid of the coffin has the face of King Tut, which is covered with thin layer of gold. Some visitors read from guidebooks in a whisper. Others stood silently, perhaps pondering Tut's untimely death in his late teens, or wondering with a shiver if the Pharaoh's curse, death or misfortune falling upon those who disturbed him, was really true. So there were different reactions to the visitors. Some visitors, they were reading the guidebooks and they were speaking in very soft voice to each other. Other visitors, they stood quiet and silently, and perhaps they were pondering. Pondering means thinking carefully. They were thinking about Tut's untimely death, that how did he die so young in his late teens. Late teen means either 17 years or 18 years or 19 years. Or wondering with a shiver if the Pharaoh's curse. And some visitors were even thinking and they were wondering that if the Pharaoh's curse, death or misfortune falling upon those who disturbed him. They were thinking that because King Tut is being taken out of his mummy, he is being disturbed from his eternal sleep. So, will these people be cursed, and will misfortune fall upon all these scientists and archaeologists who were trying to take out the dead body from the tomb for CT scan? The mummy is in very bad condition because of what Carter did in 1920s, said Zahi Hawass, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, as he leaned over the body for a long first look. So now, in 1920s, we know that Tut's tomb was discovered. So who had discovered the tomb that time? It was an archaeologist called Carter. His full name is Howard Carter. So now the body was being taken out for CT scan, and who was the in charge? Who was the person who was there? He was Zahi Hawass. He was Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. What is antiquities? Antiquities is the objects which are from olden or ancient times. So when the body was taken out, immediately Zahi Hawass commented that the mummy was in very bad condition. And who was responsible for making the mummy or reducing it to a very bad condition? It was, he said, uh, Carter, who discovered the tomb in 1920s. Zahi Hawass said this when he leaned over the body. He just bent over the body to take a first long look. And when he saw the body of King Tut, he commented that the mummy was in a very bad condition. Carter, Howard Carter. That is was the British archaeologist who in 1922 discovered Tut's tomb after years of futile searching. So full name of Carter, as I already told you, is Howard Carter. And who is he? He is a British archaeologist. Who is an archaeologist? Archaeologist is a person who studies objects of ancient times or objects of past. So in 1922, he had discovered Tut's tomb after years of futile searching. Means he had spent lots of years looking for this tomb. And after many years of pointless searching, he was finally able to discover this tomb in 1922. Its contents, though hastily ransacked in antiquity, were surprisingly complete. They remain the richest royal collection ever found and have become part of the pharaoh's legend. Its content means, it means here the coffin. So when they looked at the coffin and they opened the lid of the coffin, they found that there were lots of things in the coffin, though hastily ransacked. So all those contents, all those jewels and jewelry items and other things which were kept in the box in the coffin, they were searched earlier. So, who do you think had searched and ransacked them? It was Howard Carter and his team who had very hastily and quickly searched through those items which were kept with the body of King Tut in the coffin. Were surprisingly complete. So, the Zahi Hawass was surprised to see that nothing was taken away. All the contents were as it is kept in the coffin. So, all those contents of the tomb and the contents of the coffin, they are the richest collection of jewels and jewelry and gold and all expensive material that have ever been found, and they have become an important part of Pharaoh's legend, his story. Stunning artifacts in gold, their eternal brilliance meant to guarantee resurrection, caused a sensation at the time of the discovery and still gets the most attention. So, what else was found? Very impressive artifacts. What are artifacts? Artifacts are these special objects which are made by people, and they were all these objects that were kept in the coffin and in the tomb were all made in gold. Their eternal brilliance meant to guarantee resurrection. They were so beautifully made, they were so brilliantly made that it would guarantee that with such beauty any dead would come back to life. Resurrection means coming back to life. It caused a sensation. So what caused a sensation? Those beautiful artifacts and beautiful objects which were found in the coffin of King Tut, they caused a lot of surprise and excitement amongst the people who were there at that time. But Tut was also buried with everyday things he would want in the afterlife: board games, a bronze razor, linen undergarments, cases of food and wine. So they were not only the artifacts or expensive gold and jewels, there were also everyday items, something like board games, a bronze razor, linen undergarments, and lots of food and wine. Because in the Egyptian culture, it was a belief that there is life after death, and the kings and royalty used to be buried with lot of expensive material as well as day-to-day need material, because people believed that the king would require or the pharaoh would require those items after his death also. After months of carefully recording the pharaoh's funerary treasures, Carter began investigating his three nested coffins. So, Howard Carter spent months and months, and he kept recording the pharaoh's funerary treasures. All the treasures, all the expensive as well as day to day need items that were found in Tut's tomb, they were all recorded. He had made a list of all those items, and he began investigating his three nested coffins. What is the meaning of three nested coffins? Means the coffins were in three different sizes and the smaller was placed inside the bigger. So when one coffin was opened, there was another coffin inside, second one, and when the second was opened, there was the third coffin inside. That is the meaning of three nested coffins. Opening the first, he found a shroud adorned with garlands of willow and olive leaves, wild celery, lotus petals, and cornflowers, the faded evidence of a burial in March or April. So when Howard Carter opened the first coffin, he found a shroud. What is a shroud, children? It is a piece of cloth in which the dead body is wrapped. This shroud was decorated, adorned is decorated with garlands of willow. Willow is a flower. So that garland was made of willow flowers and olive leaves. And also wild celery, lotus petals and cornflowers were also used to make the and to decorate the shroud. And it shows it is a faded evidence of a burial in March. So all these flowers and all these leaves, they give us an idea. They grow and they are found only in the month of March and April. So it gives us an idea that the burial of King Tut took place either in March or in April. When he here refers to Howard Carter. When Howard Carter finally reached the mummy, though he ran into trouble, the ritual raisins had hardened, cementing Tut to the bottom of his solid gold coffin. No amount of legitimate force could move them, Carter wrote later. What was to be done? So when Howard Carter finally reached the mummy, he ran into trouble. What was the trouble? What was the problem then? The ritual raisins. What are raisins? Raisins is basically a sticky substance which is used as a medicine to preserve the mummy. Ritual raisin means it was a ritual to wrap the body, to cover the body in the raisins in order to preserve it. The ritual raisins had hardened. So those raisins, that sticky material had become so hard that it had cemented Tut's body to the bottom of his gold coffin. So when Howard Carter and his team tried to take the dead body out, it was not possible to take it out of the coffin because it was stuck to the coffin. No amount of legitimate is fair amount of force. They tried to use force, but no amount of force could move the dead body out of the coffin. So Carter wrote what was to be done. Now he was wondering what should he do and what should his team do. The sun can beat down like a hammer this far south in Egypt, and Carter tried to use it to loosen the raisins. For several hours, he set the mummy outside in blazing sunshine that heated it to 149 degrees Fahrenheit. Nothing budged. So, Egypt is a desert, it's a very hot place. The sun can beat down like a hammer. The sun can be very, very strong far south in Egypt, and Carter tried to take advantage of this heat to loosen the raisin. So he decided to move the coffin outside along with the dead body, keep the coffin in the sun for many hours, and he thought that the heat of the sun would melt the raisin. But what happened? It was kept outside for many hours, and what was the temperature? It was as high as 149 degrees Fahrenheit. Nothing budged. Nothing budged means the raisins did not melt, the raisins did not become soft. He reported with scientific detachment that the consolidated material had to be chiseled away from beneath the limbs and trunk before it was possible to raise the king's remains. So now, when the raisins did not soften, they did not melt. So he again, Howard Carter said, with a lot of detachment, he said that we have no other option, but we will have to chisel the limbs and trunk. What is the meaning of chisel? Chisel is basically a small tool which is used for cutting. So he said, we are going to now cut the uh, raisins and we are going to separate the body from the coffin. In his defense, Carter really had little choice. If he had not cut the mummy free, thieves most certainly would have circumvented the guards and ripped it apart to remove the gold. In Tut's time, the royals were fabulously wealthy, and they thought or hoped they could take their riches with them. So, in order to defend his decision, Howard Carter gave an explanation. And what was the explanation he gave? He said that if they will not use the chisel to cut the mummy free from the box, then the thieves will destroy, they will trick the guards. Circumvented means trick the guards, and they will destroy the mummy in order to remove all the gold that it is loaded with, that is put on the, or that is used to decorate the body of King Tut. In Tut's time, the royals were fabulously wealthy. So, in those times when King Tut died, the people of the royal family, or the people of the royal family, were very, very rich. And they also, as I already told you, they also had this belief that they can, or they could take their wealth and their gold with them after death. For his journey to the great beyond, King Tut was lavished with glittering goods, precious collars, inlaid necklaces and bracelets, rings, amulets, a ceremonial apron, sandals, sheaths for his fingers and toes, and the now iconic inner coffin and mask, all of pure gold. So for his journey to the great beyond means, his here refers to King Tut again, and journey is the journey life after death which they believed in. So for his further journey after death, for his uh, after death journey, King Tut was lavished. He was given, he was offered lots of glittering goods. Glittering is shining goods. Now, what all was there that was found in his coffin? Precious collars were there, inlaid necklaces. Inlaid necklaces means they are decorated necklaces, and bracelets. Bracelets, you know, something like bangles. Rings were there, amulet. Amulet is, now what is amulet? It is a special piece of ornament to keep away evil. Tabiz, it is called in Hindi. So amulet was also there to keep King Tut away from all the negative and evil energies. Then a ceremonial apron was there, sandals were there, sheaths for his fingers and toes. Sheaths are again decorative ornaments covering the fingers and the toes. And the now iconic inner coffin and mask, all of pure gold. And also, iconic means that it is a symbol of power, because this inner coffin was so beautifully made, and it was made of all gold. So it has become, it shows that how powerful the pharaoh was. To separate Tut from his adornments, adornment means decorative jewelry, Carter's men removed the mummy's head and severed nearly every major joint. Once they had finished, they reassembled the remains on a layer of sand in a wooden box with padding that concealed the damage the bed where Tut now rests. So, in order to separate King Tut from all the decorative jewelry, because there was a lot of jewelry on his body, Howard Carter's men started cutting every joint of King Tut's body. So, they cut his head separate from his body. They cut almost every major joint of his body to remove all the jewelry that was on it. And once they finished removing all the jewelry from his body, they reassembled. Reassemble means to assemble it back. They brought all the pieces of his body back together, laid it on a layer of sand in a wooden box, and they put a padding on top of it in order to conceal, in order to hide the damage, because lot of damage was done to King Tut body as it was cut into several parts. Though, so Howard Carter's men, they put a padding on top of it in order to hide the damage that they had caused. Archaeology has changed substantially in the intervening decades, focusing less on treasure and more on the fascinating details of life and intriguing mysteries of death. It also uses more sophisticated tools, including medical technology. So now that all this was done by Howard Carter in 1920s, now in present day the science of archaeology, the art of archaeology has changed. in the intervening decade means from that time, from 1920s to the present times, in 2005 when the body was taken out for CT scan. Now, earlier the focus was on treasure and all the jewels. And now, when the body was taken out for CT scan, the focus is now on more fascinating and impressive details. What are these details? Details about the life in those times, and details about the mysteries, that how did King Tut die, the secrets. Another advancement which has taken place in archaeology is that now archaeologists have started using more sophisticated tools, as well as more sophisticated medical technology is also being used. In 1968, more than 40 years after Carter's discovery, an anatomy professor x-rayed the mummy and revealed a startling fact. Beneath the resin that cakes his chest, his breastbone and front ribs are missing. So in 1968, an anatomy professor, what is an anatomy? Anatomy is study of human body structure. So a professor, he did an x-ray of King Tut's body, and he came out with a very surprising fact. What was that surprising fact? That King Tut's body was covered with resin, but beneath the resin, beneath the layers of resin, what was missing? His breastbone was missing and his front ribs were missing. So where did they go missing, and who was responsible for that? Damage was done because of the treatment that Howard Carter and his team gave to King Tut's mummy. Today, diagnostic imaging can be done with computed tomography or CT, by which hundreds of X-rays in cross-section are put together like slices of bread to create a three-dimensional virtual body. So now, in the present modern times, diagnostic is connected with identifying something. Images can be made with the use of computed tomography's CT scan, by which, what is the process which is used? Hundreds and thousands of rays are put together, and the three-dimensional image of the body can be recreated. Something like a slice, when a lot of slices of bread are put together, you get a three-dimensional loaf of a bread. What more would a CT scan reveal of Tut than the X-ray? And could it answer two of the biggest questions still lingering about him? How did he die, and how old was he at the time of his death? So now the writer is asking us that, can CT scan tell us more about King Tut's death than the X-ray? And what are the two most important questions which are still unanswered? That, what was the reason of King Tut's death? How did he die? And how old was he when he died? King Tut's demise was a big event even by royal standards. He was the last of his family's line, and his funeral was the death rattle of a dynasty. But the particulars of his passing away and its aftermath are unclear. So demise is death. King Tut's death, it is a very, very big event, even by royal standards, because even if we keep the royal family in mind, it was a very big event, because King Tut was a very young ruler, pharaoh who died, and also because of his death, since he was the last pharaoh of his dynasty, his death put an end to the death of the rule of the dynasty. Death rattle means, rattler is basically a toy which is used to distract the small children. When you play it, it makes a lot of noise, it announces. So death of King Tut was basically an announcement of the death of the entire dynasty. We still do not know that why and how did he pass away, how did he die, and what were the after effects of his death. Amenhotep III, Tut's father or grandfather, was a powerful pharaoh who ruled for almost 4 decades at the height of the 18th dynasty's golden age. His son Amenhotep IV succeeded him and initiated one of the strangest periods in the history of ancient Egypt. So Amenhotep III, he was another pharaoh of Egypt. We do not know whether he was King Tut's father or his grandfather, but what we know is that he was a very, very powerful ruler and who ruled for 4 decades. 4 decades means 40 years. 1 decade is 10 years. At the height of 18th dynasty's golden age. So his dynasty, that was when Amenhotep ruled. It was the golden age. It was the most celebrated period of 18th dynasty's rule. His son, now Amenhotep III's son was Amenhotep IV, succeeded him. After Amenhotep III, Amenhotep IV became the ruler and initiated means started a very, very strange period in the history of ancient Egypt. So let's see what Amenhotep IV did. The new pharaoh promoted the worship of the Aten, the sun disk, changed his name to Akhenaten or servant of the Aten, and moved the religious capital from the old city of Thebes to the new city of Akhenaten, known now as Amarna. So, who's the new pharaoh? New pharaoh, I just now told you, was now Amenhotep IV. So he, Amenhotep IV, promoted what he said that everybody would worship Aten. Which god was Aten? The sun disk. And he even changed his name to Akhenaten, or the meaning of which is servant of the Aten. And he even moved his religious capital from old city of Thebes. So the old capital was Thebes, and now the new capital was named as the city of Akhenaten, known now as Amarna. What is the present name of Akhenaten city? It is now called Amarna. So he changed his own name to Akhenaten. He started worshipping Aten, the sun disk, and he also moved the religious capital from Thebes to the new city of Akhenaten, and the present name of Akhenaten is Amarna. He further shocked the country by attacking Amun, a major god, smashing his images and closing his temples. It must have been a horrific time, said Ray Johnson, director of the University of Chicago's Research Center in Luxor, the site of ancient Thebes. So he also not only started worshipping Aten, he shocked the country of Egypt by attacking Amun. Amun was a major god at that time. He attacking his shrines and he started breaking, smashing his images, and he even started closing Amun's temples. And Ray Johnson, who's a director of the University of Chicago's Research Center. And where is this research center located? It is located in Luxor. And where is Luxor? It is the site where the ancient Thebes, you remember the old capital, that it was located. So what did Ray Johnson say? He said it must have been a very, very bad time. The family that had ruled for centuries was coming to an end, and then Akhenaten went a little wacky. So, family that had ruled for centuries, which family? The family of Akhenaten, the family of King Tut, it was coming to an end. And what happened? Akhenaten went a little wacky. He became a slightly crazy, little funny and crazy he became. After Akhenaten's death, a mysterious ruler named Smenkhkare appeared briefly and exited with hardly a trace. And then a very young Tutankhaten took the throne, King Tut, as he is widely known today. So after Akhenaten died, he became a little crazy, very, very mysterious, a ruler who was not very well known came to the throne. His name was Menkaure, and he, for a very short period, he ruled, and then he exited and he left, and nobody heard about him. There was no sign or trace about him after that. And then a very young ruler, Tutankhaten, which is our King Tut, took the throne. He became the ruler at a very young age, and he is popularly known as King Tut. The boy king soon changed his name to Tutankhamun, living image of Amun, and oversaw a restoration of the old ways. He reigned for about 9 years and then died unexpectedly. Now, see, he was a very wise king. King Tut was a very kind and a very wise king. He changed his name back to Tutankhamun, which is the meaning of which is living image of Amun, and oversaw a restoration of old ways. He started bringing back all the practices, all the ways that were being practiced earlier. So he started restoring the old culture and started restoring the old practices. He reigned means ruled for 9 years approximately, and unexpectedly, nobody had expected him to die when he died. Regardless of his fame and the speculations about his fate, Tut is one mummy among many in Egypt. How many? No one knows. The Egyptian Mummy Project, which began an inventory in late 2003, has recorded almost 600 so far and is still counting. So he was very, very famous. We know King Tut was very famous, and lot of speculations about his fate, that we do not know how he died. So there are a lot of guesses and lot of speculations about it. Tut is one mummy among many in Egypt. So Tut's mummy is one very, very famous mummy in Egypt, and out of how many mummies his mummy is very famous, we do not know. Nobody knows, because archaeologists and scientists are still working on it. The Egyptian Mummy Project. So there is a project which started making a list, inventories, making a list of all these mummies. The project started in 2003. So until today, they have recorded 600 mummies so far, and is still counting, means that they are still discovering more mummies, and they are adding more mummies to the list of already 600 mummies that have been discovered. The next phase, scanning the mummies with a portable CT machine donated by the National Geographic Society and Siemens, its manufacturer. King Tut is one of the first mummies to be scanned in death as in life, moving regally ahead of his countrymen. So, what was the next phase now? The scanning of the mummy was done in a portable CT scan. After the mummy was taken out of the tomb, it went to a CT scan machine. And where did this machine come from? It was donated by National Geographic Society and Siemens, which is the manufacturer of the CT scan machine. So King Tut is the first. He's created history here also. Amongst all the mummies, King Tut's mummy is the first mummy to be scanned. So that is why the writer says that one of the first mummies to be scanned in death and in life, moving regally ahead of his countrymen. When he was a young boy, he became the youngest pharaoh. He was the first to be the youngest pharaoh in his dynasty when he was living. And even after death, King Tut was the first one to be CT scanned after death. A CT machine scanned the mummy head to toe, creating 1,700 digital X-ray images in cross section. Tut's head, scanned in 0.62 millimeter slices to register its intricate structures, takes on eerie detail in the resulting image. So CT scan machine, it scanned the mummy from head to the toe, and it created 1,700 digital images in cross sections. In cross section is something like a slice of a bread. Tut's head scanned in 0.62 millimeter slices. So in small pieces, the head was scanned, and small images were made to register. Why so many small images were created? So that every part of his head, every part of his body can be studied in details. Takes on eerie detail in the resulting image. And when all these small images were brought together, it brought out some very, very strange detail in the final resulting image, in the final image which came out as a result of joining all these smaller images. With Tut's entire body similarly recorded, a team of specialists in radiology, forensic, and anatomy began to probe the secrets that the winged goddess of a gilded burial shrine protected for so long. So when entire body was similarly CT scanned and it was recorded and final images were brought together. So a team of specialists which comprises of a specialist from a radiology department. Radiology is somebody who studies about radiation, that is X-ray. And from the forensic department, I already told you, somebody who studies about the crime. And the anatomy, again I told you, again there was a member from the anatomy team who would study the human body structure. So they started probing, they started finding out the secrets that the winged goddess of a gilded burial shrine protected for so long. Winged goddess here is Osiris. They are saying that Osiris, in as per Egyptian culture, Osiris is a goddess which looks after all the dead after the death. So this goddess Osiris was keeping and she was protecting lots of secrets, and this team of specialists they started finding out the secrets which they say the Osiris goddess was trying to protect and trying to cover up. The night of the scan, workmen carried Tut from the tomb in his box. Like pallbearers, they climbed a ramp and a flight of stairs into the swirling sand outside, then rose on a hydraulic lift into a trailer that held the scanner. So the night when the CT scan was to be done, the workmen they carried out the coffin from the tomb like pallbearers. Pallbearers are people who carry the dead body. So they climbed a ramp. They took out the coffin of King Tut with the body of King Tut in the coffin, and they carried it and they climbed a slope, and then they climbed up the flight of stairs. A lot of steps they climbed up into the swirling sand outside. And when they came out, we have already discussed, the wind was blowing and the sand was moving as though there is a sandstorm. Then rose on a hydraulic lift into the trailer. Trailer is a truck. Then they climbed up the hydraulic lift. So where was the scanner? The scanner was on a truck. And how did they reach the truck? They reached the scanner through the hydraulic lift. 20 minutes later, two men emerged, sprinted for an office nearby, and returned with a pair of white plastic fans. The $1 million scanner had quit because of sand in cooler fan. Curse of the Pharaoh, joked a guard nervously. So 20 minutes later, they saw that two men, they came running for an office which was set up nearby the CT scan machine, and they came out from the office with a pair of white plastic fans. What had happened? The CT scan machine had stopped working because of lot of dust. Dust had gone into the cooler fan. As a result, the cooler fan was not working. The machine got heated up and stopped working. So they brought out external fans, and the guard who was there, he started making joke by saying that the CT scan has stopped working because of the curse of the Pharaoh. Eventually, the substitute fans worked well enough to finish the procedure. After checking that no data had been lost, the technicians turned Tut over to the workmen who carried him back to his tomb. So eventually, finally, the external fans, the replacement fans, they worked very well. And the procedure, what procedure? The procedure of CT scan was done successfully. And they also, the scientists and the radiologist, everybody ensured that all the data of the images of Tut's body was safe. The technicians, they turned Tut over to the workman. So technicians handed over the body of King Tut back to workman. And what did they do? They carried the body back to King Tut's tomb. Less than 3 hours after he was removed from his coffin, the pharaoh again rested in peace where the funerary priests had laid him so long ago. So the entire procedure took 3 hours, less than 3 hours, and within 3 hours, the body of King Tut was taken back into his coffin, and it was put back there where where the priest at the time of his funeral had put him long ago. Back in the trailer, a technician pulled up astonishing images of Tut on a computer screen. A grey head took shape from a scattering of pixels, and the technician spun and tilted it in every direction. Neck vertebrae appeared as clearly as in anatomy class. So now the author says that what was happening in the truck, that our technicians brought out very surprising images of Tut. And where were these images displayed? They were displayed on the computer screen. And a gray color head came up as an image when lots of pixels which were scattered were brought together. It took the shape of Tut's head. And the technician moved that head and tilted it in various different directions to see it from different angles. Neck vertebrae here means the small bones which come together to form the backbone. So those small bones which form the backbone and the neck part, they were also seen clearly, and they were as clear as though the anatomy class was going on. Other images revealed a hand, several views of the rib cage, and a transection of the skull. But for now, the pressure was off. Sitting back in his chair, Zahi Hawass smiled, visibly relieved that nothing had gone seriously wrong. So, other than the image of the neck vertebrae and the image of the skull, there were other images also which were showed by the technician. It was the hand of King Tut. Then there were many views, many images of the rib cage and a transection of the skull. Transection is basically a tear which can be seen only by the radiologist. So and which occurs due to the trauma. So there was a sort of a tear or a crack in the skull which was also seen. But for now, the pressure was off, means now the pressure of performing, now the pressure of conducting the CT scan successfully was over. So Zahi Abbas, he sat back in his chair and he was looking relaxed. It could be seen that he was relieved now of all the pressure and the tension. And why was he relaxed and why was he relieved? That nothing had gone wrong. Everything happened as it was planned. I did not sleep last night, not for a second, he said. I was so worried, but now I think I'll go and sleep. So, who's here? Who's saying this that I did not sleep last night? Zahi Hawass. Since there was a lot of pressure to conduct the entire procedure successfully, so he, out of tension and pressure, Zahi Hawass did not sleep the previous night, not even for a second, because he said he was very worried. But now, because the entire procedure of CT scan was conducted safely and King Tut's body was kept back in his tomb in the coffin, so now he said that he would be able to sleep with a relaxed mind. By the time we left the trailer, descending metal stairs to the sandy ground, the wind had stopped. The winter air lay cold and still, like death itself, in this valley of the departed. So, after finishing all the work, when the entire team, that is Zahi Hawass and all the technicians, they came down from the trailer where the CT scan machine was kept. How did they come down? They came down by using the metal stairs. Descending means coming down. So they came down using the metal stairs. And where did they land? They land on the ground which was full of sand. As we've already said that the ground was sandy because Egypt is desert area. The wind had stopped. Now, children, if you remember, when King Tut's body was being taken out, we remember that the sky was full of dark clouds and the wind had started blowing and the sand had started rising. Now, when the entire procedure was over, the wind also stopped blowing and it was very still and calm. The winter air lay cold, so it was winter time and it was cold. The winter air lay cold and still, like death itself. Now, writer is comparing the air at that time to the death. What are the characteristics of death? Death is motionless, it is still, and it is cold. So he says that the winter air was as cold and as still and motionless as the death itself. In this valley of the departed, valley of the departed means valley of the kings, where all the departed, where all the dead are buried. Just above the entrance to Tut's tomb stood Orion, the constellation that the ancient Egyptians knew as the soul of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, watching over the boy king. So now, over the entrance of the tomb, King Tut's tomb, there was a constellation. What is a constellation? Constellation is a group of stars, and this constellation, which was right above in the sky over the entrance to King Tut's tomb, is called Orion. Orion is a constellation which forms the shape of an archer. I will show you in the next slide in the picture how it looks like. So this constellation, which is called Orion, it is known as the soul of Osiris. We have already talked about in the previous slides about Osiris. She is the goddess which looks after the dead. So it is believed that Orion, this constellation, is the soul of goddess Osiris. So that constellation that the ancient Egyptians knew as the soul of Osiris, the god of the afterlife. We have already talked about it. Watching over the boy king. It means that as though the soul of Osiris, which is the constellation Orion, was looking after the boy king. Why boy king term has been used? Because King Tut was a young boy when he ruled and when he passed away. And now here, this is the picture of Orion. If you look at the evening sky and look at the stars, you will be able to form this shape. And these three stars in a line is called the belt of Orion. So with this, we come to the end of this lesson. I hope you all have understood the lesson very well.